Have you ever made a decision too quickly that you should have spent more time on? Have you ever hesitated on a decision that you should have made quickly and lost out because of it? I don't want that to happen to you again. And so today, I am giving you the top 10 decision-making principles and frameworks that I use as an executive coach to help CEOs, business owners, and leaders be more decisive and effective. These principles come from Navy SEALs, fighter pilots, and billionaires. And I've seen them create clarity from the executive office down to the frontline teams. So I trust that this video will be valuable for you as well. In the past year alone, I've coached over 100 leaders through life-changing decisions, and I've seen that tactics and frameworks are only helpful once we've laid the groundwork of the philosophy and mindset for decision-making. These first 3 principles are that foundation. Principle number 1, indecision is a decision. You have to recognize this at the beginning. Avoiding the decision doesn't free you from the outcome. It just moves you from being active in creating the outcome to passively settling for the default outcome. For example, if you don't decide to fire the toxic manager, you have decided to let them continue shaping your company culture. You didn't avoid the choice. You just passively chose the worst version of it. Principle number 2, anticipation is tyranny, action is agency. We often delay decisions because we're scared of an outcome, but anticipation is tyrannical. You're experiencing all of the negative stress of a bad outcome without any power to actually fix it. When you take action, however, either the bad outcome that you were afraid of and worrying about doesn't even happen, or even if you do encounter a bad outcome, you at least know what the outcome is and you have agency to do something about it. Jocko Willink, a Navy SEAL and best-selling author on leadership, actually explains this really profoundly in one of his kids' books, The Way of the Warrior Kid. In the book, Uncle Jake, who is a Navy SEAL, tells Mark, his sort of wimpy, fearful nephew, this powerful statement as he's trying to convince him to get over his fear of jumping off this bridge into the water. Fear exists in the moment, that powerful moment between when you decide you're going to do something and when you do it. Once you go, you won't be afraid anymore. You overcome fear by going. Once you go, the fear vanishes because it just becomes tactical problem solving. You're too busy doing the work to be afraid anymore. So if you're feeling fear right now around a decision, it's because you're standing still in that gap. Close the gap and go. Principle number 3 is similar to that. Fear exists in the vague, not the specific. When you're afraid to make a call, it's usually because the risk is this vague, big, blurry, confusing cloud. Drill down and name specific details of a bad outcome that you're afraid of. And keep asking yourself, okay, then what? Okay, then what? And when you do this, your brain switches from the emotional amygdala to the logical prefrontal cortex. Instead of saying something vague like, I'm afraid this is going to fail, say specifics like, I'm afraid we're going to lose $50,000 and 2 months of dev time. Very different. It's not a vague nightmare, it's just a very specific problem that you can solve. Speaking of Navy SEALs, I once coached a Navy SEAL. It's funny because he was very decisive as a leader when he was in the SEAL teams, but was struggling with decision-making in his personal life and in his business. Through the coaching, we identified why that was. In the SEAL teams, he had detailed frameworks, SOPs, and guidelines for every single decision that had to be made. Well, he didn't have that in his personal life and in his business. And so naturally, he struggled. Decisions are only difficult when you don't have proper frameworks to guide you. So that's what we're gonna get into next. Number 4 is the framework of one-way doors versus two-way doors. Jeff Bezos categorizes every decision into 2 types, one-way doors and two-way doors. Two-way doors are reversible. Most decisions are this type. If it doesn't work out, you can just reverse the decision and walk back through the door. These types of decisions should be made quickly once you have 70% certainty. More on that in a second. One-way doors are high stakes and irreversible. Selling the company, massive merger, 10-year lease on a property. These are the type of decisions that require slow and careful deliberation. The tragedy of most businesses is that they spend one-way door energy on two-way door decisions. Recognizing the difference helps you leverage the benefits of both speed and caution at the right moments. The next framework is the 70% rule. When I said 70% certainty a minute ago, that wasn't a random number. It comes from a decision-making rule that the Marine Corps uses, which is if you have 70% of the information and approximately 70% certainty, execute. If you wait for 100% certainty or information, the enemy has probably already moved, the window of opportunity has probably already closed, and in combat you might be dead. But business is very similar. Perfect is often the enemy of profitable. The sixth principle and framework is called the OODA loop. Speed is the advantage in decision making, and the OODA loop is a framework for cognitive speed. I once spent an entire year learning leadership in a coaching program with Jocko Willink and his team at Echelon Front. Dave Burke, the director of development at Echelon Front and one of the instructors in the group, was previously a Marine fighter pilot in the Battle of Ramadi, and he trained elite pilots as an instructor at Top Gun. He taught us this decision-making framework that pilots use called the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. This loop allows fighter pilots to win dogfights by processing information faster and making split-second decisions faster than their opponents. I'll never forget him explaining to us the real secret of this though. It's a loop. You don't end when you come to action, you start back at the beginning with new data as a result of your action to run the loop again. Observe, orient, decide, act. Repeat it. Observe, orient, decide, act. Then observe again, orient, decide again, act again, right? You do this on repeat. Action creates insight and data. This is the entire idea of iterative decision making. In learning to make decisions quicker, not only do you have more time to make more decisions, you also have better data allowing you to make better decisions. Okay, so we're moving fast, we're taking action, but how do we make sure that we're not just being reckless and that we're making the right decisions? This is where you have to have number 7, which is healthy conflict. In his book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, Patrick Lencioni teaches that the foundation of a great team is trust. And the entire point of trust is to allow for one thing, which is healthy conflict of ideas. You rarely arrive at the right decision in a vacuum. You need friction. You need people who love the mission enough to point out the flaws in your thinking and challenge your assumptions and present different viewpoints and sharpen your thinking. By the way, this is exactly what I do for the men that I coach. If you're an executive leader or entrepreneur and you feel like you're carrying the weight of every decision alone, or worse, you don't have anyone in your organization who's willing to speak directly to you and to challenge your ideas and your thinking, that's where I come in. Together, we create that high friction, high trust environment to make decisions with clarity, creativity, and confidence. If that sounds like exactly what you're missing, there's a link in the description to apply for a life-changing coaching conversation. Okay, so we've talked about tactics, we've talked about speed and teams. Here are 3 more values-based principles to settle in your heart for the difficult decisions you're making right now or the ones that you'll inevitably face in time. Principle number 8, integrity over outcomes. Proverbs 28:6 says, "Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways." If a decision forces you to trade your values for a win, it's a loss, period. You can recover from a bad financial decision, but it is much harder to recover from a compromised reputation and compromised integrity in your soul. And I know that we know this, but I think it is helpful just to settle this as a principle for our decision making, to just do the right thing and deal with whatever the consequences may be. God honors integrity in the long run, even if the short run feels expensive. Principle number 9, look for 70% certainty but 100% alignment. Here's what I mean by that. This is sort of an amendment on that 70% rule that we talked about earlier. There is a difference between data-driven uncertainty and values-driven uncertainty. Simply recognizing that distinction is incredibly helpful to identify the source of your hesitation. If the data says go, but your conscience says wait, then wait. Pray about it. Seek guidance, seek greater clarity before charging ahead. This last principle is one that has been incredibly helpful to me personally. It's this: Don't trade things that you can only have now for things that you can always have later. Here's what that means. Most decisions require some sort of trade-off or sacrifice. Every yes is a no to something else. There's always a cost. So don't trade things that you can only have now for things that you can always have later. For example, you can always buy a faster car or a bigger house later. Money is a renewable resource, but your 4-year-old daughter's tea party, your son's basketball game, those are non-renewable resources. 10 years from now, no matter how much money you have, you can never buy those things back. Now, I know that you have to go to work and you have to provide for your family. And so there's a lot of nuance in balancing these things well. So I say this as a principle for you to use rather than a prescription for what your life should look like. Leadership is so rewarding, but it's also heavy at times and full of difficult decisions. I know what that's like, and so I made this video to help you because I see you and I'm cheering you on. And I mean it. If there's any way that I can serve you, please do reach out to me through the link in the description. And if you want to be even better at making hard decisions quickly, then check out this next video where I give you 27 questions to use as filters for clarity in your next big decision. As always, I'm Cody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.